You are listening to From There to Here, a Star Trek Enterprise podcast. Hello, my name is Josh, and with me is
Justin.
Today we are reviewing Season 1, Episode 23, Fallen Hero. According to Wikipedia, here's the plot synopsis. Captain Archer is ordered to transport Vulcan Ambassador V'Lar from a planet where her integrity has been called into question. On the IMDB, this has a rating of 8.0. Wow. Okay, man.
I think that just might be the highest scoring one yet.
Shockingly so.
Is it? Like, do you see a recall?
Well, let's go look at
episodes?
Dear Doctor, which is by far the best one. That also has an 8.
Okay.
What do you have for trivia, Justin?
Well, there's a couple little bits. First, and most notably, Fiona Flanagan, who played Ambassador V'Lar, she also played Data's quote-unquote mother in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Juliana Tainer, wasn't that her name? Or is that somebody? Is that another character?
Julia
Tainer?
Julia or Juliana? Yeah, something. I couldn't tell you the last name.
Okay.
Gun to my head. She was basically quoted as saying she found the character interesting to play because generally I cannot talk. Generally, she plays characters that are full of emotion and very vibrant. So she found it a challenge, but a fun challenge to play someone more reserved. Mm-hmm. And
she did a good job.
A very good job. And Bakula praised her. He actually compared the character of V'Lar to Gandhi. Interesting choice. But he said she was incredible and thought she just stole the show.
I agree.
This also featured
Not to get into spoilers here.
This also featured the Vulcan spaceship, a Surat class called the Charon, and it was deemed the second. God Almighty!
The secondy seconds. Okay.
It was I can't say it now. It was ranked the 22nd most powerful spacecraft in the Star Trek franchise by CNET in 2016.
By who?
By CNET website.
Oh, CNET. Oh, okay.
Yeah, CNET. The cousin to Skynet.
Okay. Oh, that one. Of course. All right, so we read the plot synopsis, but what is this episode all about, really?
As in between the lines?
Yeah, what's it about between the lines?
Well, I actually wrote a little comment down. It's a phrase. Never meet your heroes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. See, here, people listening, Justin and I don't talk to each other except if we're making jokes about during the episode. While we're watching,
unless we're making jokes about it.
We're cracking jokes about it. But we won't talk about the episode as it's going on. We want to keep it. We want to reserve it for.
We want to save our energy for this.
Yeah. And the insights we have, we want to be surprised from each other. Anyway,
so I wrote, never meet your heroes, and also as far as what's it really about. Challenging preconceived notions.
Okay.
In the sense that T'Pol, who, by the way, is absolutely who this episode is about.
Yes, this is a T'Pol episode.
This is a T'Pol episode. Although it's an Archer episode too, but it's mostly a T'Pol episode. I think the character of V'Lar,
I would say Archer
makes both of them challenge their preconceived notions.
Archer is the supporting.
Yeah, he's the supporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
about
T'Pol episode.
She's the star.
Yeah, and she has her preconceived notions of what a dignified Vulcan should be challenged the minute she walks into the room with her, and it takes her a while to adjust to that and to recognize that she is still very much the hero she's built her up to be, but she's also a lot more. And I actually think that the end of the episode, the very tag of the episode where V'Lar turns to Archer and T'Pol and said, I sense something special between the two of you, is sort of, well, it's not sort of, it was
emblematic.
Her way of acknowledging the reverse, which is you two have your own preconceived notions of each other, blah, blah, blah. but within you there's more, and it's greatness, and it I don't think it was meant to be compared, but I think it's for the audience, it's meant to acknowledge that T'Pol and Archer, in their own ways, both in their present and in their futures, will be looked at historically a certain way. People will look up to them as heroes of a sort, and they are just as complex as V'Lar is. And so I think that was a subtle, not too subtle way of highlighting that. In other words, we are all shades of gray. There is no perfect person. We are all real people.
Okay.
And every hero at the end of the day is still just a real person, no matter what planet they're from. And V'Lar has ticks and things like that, things she likes, things she doesn't, but she's still great. She's absolutely great.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you. It is about that, but I was trying to pick up on something deeper going on inside of T'Pol. Not that wasn't deep enough, but I mean,
no, please. What is it?
Because there's some good scenes in this episode. I actually really liked it.
No, I did too. I
was quite surprised at how good it was.
What I think is essentially a bottle show.
It is a bottle show.
It's very well. It was very well done, and I mean, it really goes to Fiona Flanagan. I mean, she makes this episode work.
It doesn't go beyond the Enterprise sets. They're on that the whole time.
Yeah, they never leave it. They show some ship shots outside, but they never had to build any extra sets or anything.
Yeah. What was her name again?
Fiona Flanagan.
Fiona Flanagan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she was great.
She's got tremendous gravitas.
But she was playing it reserved, like she said she did.
Yeah.
She said she would. But
not typical Vulcan.
I didn't. Yeah, right. I didn't know she was going to be in this episode. I'd forgotten.
I remember.
Yeah. Justin apparently had told me that last week, but I'd forgotten. But I was blown away by how good she was. And then I remembered, man, she was really good in that TNG episode, Inheritance.
Yeah.
That was her episode from TNG. And she was really good in that.
She was really good in that.
But she was emotional, right?
She was.
But
yeah.
What I was getting at with T'Pol was like V'Lar. V'Lar was an uncharacteristic Vulcan. T'Pol was acting very uncharacteristic for herself. She got very emotional, and probably I think the best scene in the episode was with Archer in his quarters. It's just T'Pol and he, and she's asking him for a favor, and she almost looks like she's about to cry. Like it's getting very tense.
I didn't get that
in her eyes. Well, maybe a little misty. I don't know. She's getting emotional. She was getting a little worked up. You don't think so?
She was definitely, for T'Pol, emotional.
Well, yes, for a Vulcan.
Well, yeah, for a Vulcan. As a matter of fact, I would say that for me represented a moment of character growth for her, because she was asking for help, and T'Pol never asked for help, and it meant a lot. It was a big deal.
She asked for a favor.
She
actually said, "Please do me this one thing."
Yeah, I mean, to the point of saying that cliched line of, "I've never asked you for anything before, but I'm asking you this now."
Right.
That's a big deal for her. And Archer knows that. So for her to lay it on the line like that, Archer took it seriously.
Because Archer was going to turn her in. He was going to take V'Lar back.
He was, simply because he did not understand the details of what was going on. So he wasn't going to risk the safety of his ship for someone that was refusing to explain themselves, which is what V'Lar was, doing. She was holding back.
But as this was a T'Pol episode, I mean, I felt like it was maybe we're just scratching the surface with the theme of don't meet your hero. You might be disappointed. That was a line from the episode.
Yeah.
V'Lar says to her, "Oh, I sense you feel disappointed by meeting me,"
Yeah.
But there was something about going on inside T'Pol's mind, something beyond just meeting this person that she looked up to in her youth. Something about T'Pol, her whole design as a character, she's always running into conflict with herself, right? I mean,
sure.
the episode where she asked Trip for advice about the letter she got that he accidentally read. I know there's other moments where she's coming into conflict with herself about her true desires.
I think T'Pol, the issue with T'Pol within herself that she keeps butting up against is that T'Pol is clearly, by her nature, curious. And curiosity, some Vulcans might think of as is an emotion of a sort. Okay. And curiosity, because they talk about this in Enterprise, in fact, that Vulcans don't really do exploration because they're not curious. They look for things when they need to, when there's a reason. They're not curious for the sake of being curious. T'Pol talked about being on Earth. She talked about the dream she had where she would go to that club and hear that crazy jazz music and all of that. And that's because she's a curious person and she can't help it. And being on Enterprise has provided her with an opportunity to explore that curiosity, even though her training says essentially not to. So she's constantly bumping up against what she kind of wants to do versus what she thinks she should do, just like what she thinks V'Lar should be. So she holds V'Lar up as being the kind of Vulcan she wants to be. But at the end of the day, she realizes she's a lot more like V'Lar than she wants to admit. And, that's where that bit at the end with saying that she and Archer share a unique bond kind of pulls it all together, because it's just like the Spock-Kirk thing where he draws out her curiosity and she draws out his need for reason sometimes, because he can be very passionate, which they also say in this episode. She literally describes him, V'Lar describes Archer as passionate. And you could say that about Kirk and Spock. And that obviously that's the dynamic here between he and Archer and Trip, with, the big three. They were replicating that dynamic. And so that, I think, is always T'Pol's inner struggle. She is curious, but she keeps telling herself, stop it. Don't be so curious. Don't be so this. Don't be so that. Just lock it down. So anyway, sorry, I got on a tangent there.
Well, I mean, could it also be about, T'Pol has obviously grown attached to the crew, even though she wouldn't admit it. But she is, I think, V'Lar is also kind of like a reflection of herself in a way. Like V'Lar admits later on in the episode to Archer directly, look, she said, I didn't trust you at first.
Right.
Right. And I think T'Pol really didn't trust any of the crew at first either.
Oh,
but she's come to trust them.
Absolutely.
And I think there is a theme of faith. I don't mean in religion, but of trusting each other, that goes beyond just the friendship that you pointed out, that Archer and T'Pol have, that V'Lar comments on at the end. She says, I sense something between you, something like a friendship. Right. That's kind of a broader comment on the relationship between Vulcans and humans in general. Like they need to start to trust each other a bit more.
Oh, sure.
They always think the other guy is,
up to something.
Right. I mean, because T'Pol actually defends Archer's point of view to V'Lar and says, look, he has his reasons for not trusting Vulcans because we did keep things from him.
And you're not making it any better.
You're not helping right now. I mean, like this, you don't need to keep from him.
Yeah.
You can tell him this. So trust him here. Trust him
I
now.
Trust him. Please trust me and trust him. Yes.
Yeah. So I like that. One thing about, you said about T'Pol being curious, I was trying to figure out if this had any bearing on the episode. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the teaser, right? The teaser was T'Pol, Trip, Archer having dinner, right? And for some reason, T'Pol brings up the fact that nobody on the Enterprise has gotten laid in a long time. and it's starting to show in their efficiency. She's starting to sense the stress.
Yeah.
And she mentions, oh, well, we should go check out this planet. It's called, what's it called? Risa.
Right.
Yeah. She has to pretend like she's never heard it before, or it's the first time they've ever heard it. But anyway. And, of course, Trip being Trip shows up in a Hawaiian shirt.
He's
the next
ready
scene,
to
he's
go.
like, I'm ready to go down. Just beam me up. I'm ready to go get
And
some.
Archer's like, we're
Captain."
not there for 2 days. I know, sir. I'm just getting ready.
Yeah, so, I was trying to figure out, like, what did that teaser have any bearing? Because they were going to go to Ryza, and then they got called by the Vulcans or from Admiral Archer or something like that, saying, you need to go pick up this Vulcan.
Right.
They've asked, it's urgent. So they had to reroute and go and pick her up.
Yeah.
So what was that? Did that have any bearing on the show? Any thematic bearing? I mean,
honestly,
were they just setting up Ryza for that later episode that's going to come up?
Well, okay. I would say it was set up for the Ryza episode coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that in this season or is that the next
No,
one?
it's not the next episode, it's the one after that, I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm
getting excited for that one.
Don't build it up too much.
Okay.
I would say that the episode as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
from the moment that alien ship shows up and they know that it's on, as soon as Archer says, call Starfleet, and Hoshi says...
The alien ship that's coming to take V'Lar away. Okay.
As soon as Hoshi says they're jamming us.
Yeah.
And now it's a race to get to a certain point before someone's reinforcements get there.
Mm-hmm.
From that moment on, the tension starts. They're going faster.
Mm-hmm.
They're burning up their engines. I mean, it's like a full-on race. And so I would say that if that scene, that teaser, serves any purpose, it's to set the stage that tension is already existing, because the whole episode then is built on tension and the tension ratcheting up. And I think the hope was that scene starts the ball rolling to where we say to ourselves, oh, the Enterprise crew, they're not as efficient as they always are. They're on the edge. And then here they are getting pushed to the brink, and they're pushing their ship to the brink, and everything gets to be, from scene to scene, everything gets ratcheted up bit by bit by bit.
Yeah, you lost me on that one.
I'm just trying to connect it. If I had to say anything connected,
I think you're grasping it.
Well,
trying
here.
Rising straws there, buddy. I don't see anything. I just saw them like getting ready to go to Ryza, and Trip was like, all right, let's get it on, man. That was it. I was like, okay. I was like, for a second, no, remember, I paused it. I was like, Justin, do we have the right episode? Is this not 2 days and 2 nights?
Yeah,
and I could see on Paramount Plus, that's where we watched this, it said Fallen Hero. I was like, okay, I guess we're watching Fallen Hero. I was like, but, something that happened in the episode that I thought, well, something that didn't happen, I should say, was I suspected that we were going to get a twist that we didn't get. I thought that it was all leading up to V'Lar being duplicitous. I thought that there was something going on there where she was going to turn on them at the end, and she was playing all of them. Because she went to go see, she saw all of them independently, and she worked them all over. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she's up to something. I was like, there's something not kosher about her.
Well, that's the red herring. They want you to think that.
Okay, but you sensed it.
Well,
was that actual misdirection? I didn't feel like it was.
I don't think it was. I think it's just what you perceive because you expect the guest of the week. You expect a fun twist, and there is a twist, but it's not quite the twist that you think it is. Yeah. It's just the reveal of her information. It's not really a twist, like you were saying, that she's actually duplicitous. That doesn't actually happen.
It just seemed like it was too straightforward. I mean, they were being so intentionally vague about what she was doing and why. I was like, then she's got to be up to something. I mean,
maybe that was the intent of the writers, was to make it so vague that you question
well, I thought that actually would have been better. I wanted her to be a turncoat.
Oh.
You don't think so?
No, I like the resolution, because that would be sort of the typical way to go with it, I think.
Oof. Well, then I would have made her plot a bit more interesting, because the subplot, well, it's not really a subplot, it's a ruse that the Vulcans designed to get her off this planet. I can't remember what the alien species is called.
Mazarites.
Mazarites, good, you remembered. I wrote it down, but okay. The Mazarites, she's on this planet. She needs to get off the planet for some reason, and the way they do that is they manufacture charges against her so they can have her sent back to Vulcan to be judged or put on trial or something like that.
Yeah.
But the reason that they do this is because she's uncovered some kind of corruption on the Mazarite homeworld, and she's going to expose them.
Right.
That's who's chasing her, the people of this bad faction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not made very clear. And I thought, why even mention it? Like, it just seemed like it was setting us up for her to be the bad guy in the end, and for the guy chasing her
to be the good guy.
Yeah. To be the good guy in the end, you know?
I liked it. I get what you're saying.
No,
completely.
I mean, I still liked it.
I liked it. And I don't know what to say. I mean, I liked that. I liked that the reveal was not what I probably would have done myself had I written the episode, which is make her duplicitous the whole time and, you know, all that. But no, she really was a good guy. She just had to keep quiet, you know, to keep the ruse alive.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the smiling guy on the screen was really full of it. But of course, you knew that the second they turned their screen off. Mm-hmm. But I liked it. I hear what you're saying, but I liked it.
Well, okay. I mean, I can't argue with you any further than that because that's all I had on that. So, was there anything else about the episode you wanted to mention in particular?
Really, mainly the thing I already talked about it, which is that ratcheting up of the tension. I really enjoyed that. And Star Trek has many strengths, but I would say building tension
is not one of them.
They do it sometimes. I mean, I don't think they ever did better.
Unless, of course, you know, it's a Klingon saying, "We are cloaking. Our shields are down." That was really tense.
Oh, that was really tense. But honestly, I don't think Star Trek has ever, on television, has ever been more tense than this. Mr. Worf. Fire. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
and then you gotta wait 3 months.
That left a world of nerds on the edge of their seats going, "Oh my God, what's gonna happen?"
Yeah, we had to wait all summer. We did not watch them back to back.
Wow, that to this day, that's hands down the best cliffhanger I've ever seen. And
no, I think it was done well.
It was done well, and I love that the
tension was sparsed out through the different acts very well. I thought
it was, and I like that they made it a technical problem with their ship. They can only go so fast.
Right?
And they're bumping up against their ability level again, which you and I have highlighted. Whenever they do that on this show, that tends to work really well.
Yeah.
When they're just now, granted, these aliens are at about the same technological level, so it wouldn't matter if it was warp 9.
Yeah.
But they're pushing their engines to the point where the ship is literally shaking.
Right.
And I love that. That is fun because they never did that. I mean, they did make the ship shake in TOS or TNG, but somehow this ship, because they have done a decent job of letting you know it's not anywhere near as technically superior as the other ones. Of course it's not. That they could fly this thing apart. And I wish they had even shown more in engineering, stuff blowing up everywhere, you know, like they're seconds away from really, really blowing up. And
I wanted Trip to say, "I'm giving it all she's got, Captain."
Someone I read in the little production blurbs that he says something like, I'm giving it everything I can. That was a Scotty reference. Okay. You know, he short of actually saying it in an accent, I think he was doing a Scottyism.
Okay. Well, that was a good scene, and I think
I wish they had cut to the outside of the ship and shown the nacelles start to flicker a little,
maybe a little bit.
You know, a little fart in there, and just have it go, oh boy. But even what they did was good. It was well done.
Yeah, they were going at max speed. They had never gone that fast before.
I love the comparisons to the alien ship, saying, "Well, they're venting this. You know, they're not in any better shape. You know, we can relate to that. You know, you don't need technobabble to explain that. The engine, they literally said these terms. The engine is overheating. You know, I like that. No, the something flunking isn't working. But no,
the Crimson Force Field.
It's too hot. The Crimson Force Field isn't working. It's just the engine's hot. It's going to blow up. You know, slow down.
Yeah.
And I love when Archer calls down to engineering and he goes, Trip. And Trip goes, "Sir, I really hope you're going to tell us we're going to slow down here." And he goes, "Actually, I need you to go faster." I don't know. And I like seeing Trip sweat. I wish they had given him more to do physically because he's just tapping some buttons on the screen. I want to see him working those levers and and yelling out things to everyone. Get away from that plasma thing. It's too hot. Do this, and have Archer go, I'm going to leave you alone, Trip.
That was a great dramatic performance, Justin. Great reenactment. I felt like I was there.
I think, not to rewrite the episode, which I'm not trying to do. I just think that would have been even more fun and driven even more home how close to the brink they were.
Yeah.
Which would have been fantastic.
Well, before we sat down to record this, we hammered out like a kind of outline that we'd like to kind of follow as we do these episode reviews. And one of the things that's on that list is character growth or ungrowth, as we call it. Do they take a step back?
Ungrowth.
And if there is, what are the repercussions of it?
Yeah.
So this was a T'Pol episode.
Yeah.
She had a growth moment. How does this affect her going forward?
I think it strengthened the bond between she and Archer, which is, I think, why V'Lar says what she says at the end. Because she probably could sense that they weren't ready to say it to each other. And maybe she was giving them a little hand.
Wait a minute. Is the Night in Sickbay episode the one that's next?
I don't think so. I think that's season 2.
Oh, it is? I got to wait to season 2 to watch The Night in Sickbay?
Yeah, but we're coming up to the end of the season here, so don't get too discouraged.
Okay.
Why?
In that, maybe I'll save it for when we watch.
Yeah, Desert Crossing is next.
Oh, okay.
That's the one with Clancy Brown. Captain, I'm so glad to have you here. Have dinner with my people. Feast in my desert tent.
I was thinking Starship Troopers, but okay, he's been in a bunch of stuff.
No, I'm. That's what he's like in this episode.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Anyway, because yes, I figured that that they were trying to build toward maybe a possible romance still with those two. You don't think so?
I don't know. I'd like to think that they're done with it, but honestly, I'll just say
it now. There's a tease in A Night in Sickbay. Toward that.
Oh, okay.
And clearly they hadn't given up on it by that point. So
right. Well, that's because they haven't really put Trip and T'Pol together quite yet.
Well, we know they're not doing that for a little while. So.
I know.
As for what we like to call the writer's room, if we were to go back in the writer's room, although we didn't write this episode, if we were to take over the writer's room, is there anything that we'd like to change?
For me, it's even more of the tension with the ship falling apart. Other than that, for me, not really. I like that it's all on the ship.
I think it was a very successful bottle show. I didn't notice. I didn't feel claustrophobic at all. If anything, I would give Data's mom. I forgot her name.
Oh, the actress?
Yes.
Oh, Fiona Flanagan.
I give her more scenes.
Yeah, I mean, she... Yeah. I don't mean this... There's no way to say this that doesn't sound derogatory to the Enterprise cast, but you'll know what I mean.
Okay.
She really elevates the episode because she's like movie grade actor material.
Yeah, she's a pro.
Yeah, and she rather outclasses most people very easily. It's just her. She just has presence. She has movie star.
Do I know her from something else besides that TNG episode? She's very familiar.
I don't think you've seen it, but she was in that one movie with oh gosh, what's it called? They show them younger and then they show them older. She's a character actress.
Now and Then? What are you talking
about? No, not that. I forget the name.
Okay.
She's been in a lot of things. She's a character actress.
There's got to be something else. Her voice is very distinctive too. But okay, I won't waste time on that. Do you want to move on to...
Well, is there anything you would...
Awards? No? Anything I changed? Well, I think I kind of went over that. I think I kind of wanted her to be... A part of me wanted her to be sneaky and a bit of a spy or she's got an angle of her own and she's kind of fooling them all. I kind of wanted that a little bit. If anything, like I just said, to rewrite it, I would include more and make that connection between the Rise of Trip make sense because I didn't understand it.
Then so maybe if I were to change anything, maybe I would redo that teaser.
Okay.
And I don't know what exactly, but have the teaser have to do with T'Pol
and
have her I don't know, maybe performing some sort of Vulcan ritual, something that, show her meditating or something. And, or I don't know, just something that she's trying to be the best little Vulcan she can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just something to drive home that's the mentality she's at when she runs into this person. If you're going to have the tease it, don't waste time, make that time mean something. And it really didn't. It was a cute little bit, but I think it would have been nice just to have that scene serve a purpose and have it be to show that, just like Spock.
Other than to maybe show her difference amongst the crew, that she kind of stands out, and she's maybe, so when this other Vulcan comes on board, maybe we're more aware of the fact that they're both Vulcan. Maybe there's supposed to be a connection we're inferring. Maybe something, but something is that you're just illustrating the point. I think it can still be between the three of that scene could be the three of them having dinner, but the conversation needs to be something else. I mean, tonally, it's just completely different from the whole rest of the episode, don't you think? Well, I think. I mean, I told you, I thought they were. I know. 2 days and 2 nights. In that scene, in that opening teaser, the episode literally starts with Trip kind of choking on his food, going, "I'm sorry, what?" Because she had dropped the bomb about having relations and stuff like that. Relations. But then shortly thereafter, she actually says something which, according to Trek canon, is not really well known, which is the whole business of Vulcans mating every 7 years. She drops it like it means nothing. But in the TOS episode, Spock is almost willing to self-destruct before he tells anybody. He finds it too personal. Right. And even on Voyager, even though it's kind of a known thing, they still, what's his name? That Tuvok. Other Vulcan guy? Not Tuvok, the other guy. The guy that went through the Ponfar. Sirach. Oh, no. Sirach. You know who I'm talking about? The guy that had the hots for B'Elanna. Yeah, he was also in Lower Decks. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I don't know who it is. He was the producer's son. Well, that's why he was on the show. That's why he was on the show. Well, he was good. He played a good Vulcan, actually. I liked him. But even they were uncomfortable talking about it with each other, fellow Vulcans. And he's like, "I don't want to talk about this, sir." It's very private to them. So maybe that would have been a good opportunity because Trip does. He turns the table and says, "Don't you ever get frustrated, or whatever?" Yeah. And she could have said something like, "We do not talk about those sorts of things. It's not proper," and all of that. And she could even have made this would have been a perfect time to do this. She could have then said, the way that your people touch, generally Vulcans find inappropriate. Even so much as a handshake, which of course, as soon as V'Lar walks in, she offers her hand because that's just not something Vulcans do. They don't touch. They don't find the need for it. Right. So something to illustrate all of that before we meet V'Lar, I think would have been. Well, because don't you think that fit in with the whole subtext of, her V'Lar immediately going to shake hands when they, when T'Pol teased, "Oh yeah, don't do it. Don't shake. They don't like it," but she does. With that subtext of T'Pol kind of being prude. Yes, because she's the one that seems to think that V'Lar is reacting to the bad smell that Hoshi would have left in her quarters. She's like, not. "Oh yeah, humans, they smell." And she's like, "Oh no, I just wanted to go thank her for letting me use her quarters." Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh yeah, T'Pol, you are kind of rude about that." You need to lighten up a little bit. Well, that's kind of what's like. You need to accept these humans as they are. Yeah. And I think, but she's working on it. Well, that goes back into the whole subtext of what this episode was about. Them growing closer together and learning. They could have even had a little dialogue reference to the original series, to where if they have that bit happen where T'Pol or what's his name, Trip, says something like, "Well, don't your people ever get frustrated or whatever?" Oh, okay. And Archer then could have jumped in and said, "Not to be indelicate, but we humans have always kind of wondered how Vulcans go about finding their mates and all of that," which could reference the original series episode, Amok Time, where Spock says to Kirk, "Haven't you ever wondered how Vulcans find their mates?" And Kirk has this bewildered look on his face and says, "Well, I always assumed they did it most
logically. And he's like, I don't know.
Okay.
And I love he just threw up his hand saying, I don't know, and what it would have been a fun little wink,
I would have liked that.
which still would have led into, the awkwardness that V'Lar immediately brings.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, if I had to rewrite anything, that's what I would do. And the ratcheting up of the tension and engineering, running out the decks, and tubes and everything flying. Just go for broke.
Well, thank God we didn't have to go deep on Rogue Planet, because I don't know what the hell we would have done. I think the subtext of it is, it sucks.
Just put the script in the trash. Move on. We are one episode short for the season, guys. This is not going to work.
Okay. You want to go to, do we grade it first, or we give awards first?
Let's do awards first, if there are any to give.
Okay. Well, let's see. The Janeway Country Music Award, I don't think so.
For sticking your nose in other people's business?
No,
that doesn't apply.
It does get a dramatic performance award from me. A Shatner dramatic performance. That goes to, it's for a very small line. It's from Phlox.
Oh.
Yeah, you remember?
Yeah. No!
Phlox has to pretend that they've killed the ambassador, V'Lar. Yeah. It's a big ruse. They can't see her. They think she's in a medical compartment, and they fire their phasers through it. And he does a pretty good acting job. Doesn't make it look at all fake, but he gets the Shatner prize there. Let's see. I would say if there's a best or worst line, no worst line. This was a good episode. Best one, I think, would have to be an exchange between Archer and Trip. When Archer calls him up, hey, I need you to go faster. And Archer says to him, hey, this is a Warp 5 engine. Trip's response is, yeah, on paper.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's the best line in the whole show.
No, that was good. That was good.
Any other awards?
No, I mean, as the episode was playing, I was looking at our list of awards, really wanting to do one of them, but honestly, I can't say that any of them apply.
Well, people listening, we've added some other awards for they may come in the future. We have the Geordie LaForge Coco No notation for crashing and burning. The Crimson Force Field honorable mention for BS Technobabble. Okay.
Which this episode thankfully avoids, with the engines just overheating.
The No Gramba Award for cowardice. Okay. The V'ger Award for plot twists. There could have been a V'ger Award if it had turned out like
it could have been.
The Trip Tucker Award for petulance.
that was mine.
The Spock Smiles Award for acting out of character. The Janeway, another Janeway Award. Janeway Award for not taking suggestions.
Unfortunately, none of them apply to this one. This was actually a good episode.
And, if we miss an award that we mentioned, an award we could have given in the episode, please write us and let us know. Because sometimes we'll forget. Moving on to ratings. I don't think I was in love with this episode as the internet was. The internet gave it the same rating as Dear Doctor. It's definitely not that caliber.
It's close.
Because that was an 8. That was like, I gave that an A+.
Dear Doctor, it's like, there's nothing wrong with it. That
like
was
grade, that's A+ level Star Trek writing. I would say this was probably a B+.
Oh, really? You wouldn't give it even an A-?
You might be able to give it, you might be able to talk me into an A-. Give me a reason.
Fiona Flanagan. She elevates this episode, and she is so compelling. And that's the tension between the ships being chased. And it goes on for like the whole episode. They're being chased the whole time. And there's no fancy Star Trek stuff. They're just running, which I like.
It's true.
So that's two things you don't always get. Gravitas from
and a good supporting star.
The guest star. And actually good tension, which you don't often get. Sometimes you get dramatic tension, but this is actual like people sweating kind of tension.
All right, you convinced me. I'll go to an A-. You're A-.
Is it as good as Dear Doctor? No. Dear Doctor, like you said, is A grade Star Trek. Like exactly.
It's pitch perfect.
It's pitch perfect.
Yeah.
But this was really good. It was a solid show, really solid show.
Yeah, I think I have showered this episode with enough good things.
Okay.
What's up next? I think I already asked you that. But
Desert Crossing.
Desert Crossing.
With Clancy Brown.
So how long till we get to the finale here? The series.
2 more episodes. Well,
is it a
counting? It's.
Is it a 2-parter?
No, it's a part 1. So it's Desert Crossing, the Risa episode, and then Shockwave part 1.
Oh,
is it Shockwave?
Okay. So it does have a second part.
Yeah, but
I thought it was like tradition that TNG and TOS set up that the first season, maybe it was TNG. The first season doesn't have a cliffhanger.
Did
DS9 didn't?
Did Voyager?
No.
It had that whole first season, second season. That one's a mess.
Because the writer's strike. There was a writer's strike.
And the episodes that were intended for season 1 were moved.
Yeah, wasn't the 37
supposed to be the season finale?
Yeah, but it was
where they get close to home, but not quite.
But that ended up opening season 2.
Right.
Oh, okay. But they had no finale though. But there was no. I mean, they had no cliffhanger. I meant
no.
Yeah, so I thought that was a tradition. Apparently not. They're breaking it with this.
Yeah,
Enterprise is breaking all the rules.
Yeah, no, I'm right. It's Desert Crossing, then 2 days and 2 nights, then Shockwave part 1. Yeah, Shockwave part 1. So we're almost there.
I wish they would have called it 2 days, 2 nights in a pizza place. Just, an homage to that lost sitcom from the 90s.
Oh, boy.
It was the 90s, right?
It had to be.
Yeah, it was, what's his face?
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, boy, well, that's memories.
Back when he did, like, National Lampoon's, what was his movie called?
Was it Waiting? Or no, oh, no, Van
Wilder.
Van Wilder.
Yeah. Well, okay. Never thought I'd bring that movie up
Here
in
we
conversation.
Are talking about it in the Star Trek podcast.
All right, I'll see you in the next one.
All right.